All right. I say it is the interventionalist in America as it was in England and in France who gives comfort to the enemy. I say it is they who are undermining the principles of democracy when they demand that we make a course to which more than 80% of our citizens are opposed. This is in small letters. I citizen, capital letters, your property. I charge them with being the real defeatist, for their policy has led to the defeat of every country that followed their advice since this war began. There is no better way to give comfort to an enemy than to divide the people of a nation over the issue of foreign war. There is no shorter road to defeat than by entering a war with inadequate preparation. Every nation that has adopted the interventionist policy of depending on someone else for its own defense has met with nothing but defeat and failure. And yet the United States is on its way to join the UN and become a subject. And we're going to have to depend on the UN for peacekeeping, our defense. And the UN has failed at everything it's ever been sent out to do since its inception. Look at the stats, people. They have never once fulfilled their charter. When history is written, the responsibility of the downfall of the democracy of Europe's will rest squarely upon the shoulders of the interventionalists who led their nations into war uninformed and unprepared. With their shouts of defeatism and their disdain of reality, they have already sent countless thousands of young men to death in Europe. I know I read it before. From the campaign of Poland to that of Greece, their prophecies have been false and their policies have failed. Yet these are the people who are calling us defeatists in America today, and they have led this country too to the verge of war, the Zionists. There are many such interventionalists in America, but there are more people among us of a different type. That is why you and I are assembled here tonight. There is a policy open to this nation that will lead to success, a policy that leaves us free to follow our own way of life and to develop our own civilization. It is not a new and untried idea. It was advocated by Washington. It was incorporated in the Monroe Doctrine. Under its guidance, the United States became the greatest nation in the world. It is based upon the belief that the security of a nation lies in the strength and character of its own people. Why am I not seeing the character of our people? It recommends the maintenance of armed forces sufficient to defend this hemisphere from attack by any combination of foreign powers. It demands faith in an independent American destiny. This is the policy of the America First Committee today. It is a policy not of isolation but of independence, not of defeat but of courage. It is a policy that led this nation to success during the most trying years of our history. It is a policy that will lead us to success again. One point I want to put in here. During World War II, Japan just flat out stated it never entertained a thought of an invasion upon the mainland of America. And do you know why? Because they said too many damn Americans own guns. And they're taking that away from us. How are you going to defend yourself? All right. We have weakened ourselves for many months, and still worse, we have divided our own people by this dabbling in Europe's war. While we should have been concentrating on American defense, we have been forced to argue over foreign quarrels. We must turn our eyes and our faith back to our own country before it is too late. And we're at that stage again, people. Different type of enemy, different type of warfare, but we're at the brink of destruction. And when we do this, a different vista opens before us. practically every difficulty we would face in invading Europe becomes an asset to us in defeating America. Our enemy, and not we, would then have the problem of transporting millions of troops across the ocean and landing them on a hostile shore. They, and not we, would have to furnish the convoys to transport guns, trucks, and munitions and fuel across 3,000 miles of water. Our battleships and submarines would then be fighting close to their home bases. We would then do the bombing from the air and the torpedoing at sea. And if any part of an enemy convoy should ever pass our Navy and our Air Force, they would still be faced with the guns of our coast artillery, and behind them the divisions of our army, and behind them the citizens. The United States is better situated from a military standpoint than any other nation in the world. Even in our present condition of unpreparedness, no foreign power is in a position to invade us today. If we concentrate on our own and build the strength that this nation should maintain, no foreign army will ever attempt to land on American shores. War is not inevitable for this country. Such a claim is defeatism in the true sense. No one can make us fight abroad unless we ourselves are willing to do so. No one will attempt to fight us here if we arm ourselves as a great nation should be armed. Over 1 million people in this nation are opposed to entering this war. If the principles of democracy mean anything at all, that is the reason enough for us to stay out. If we are forced into a war against the wishes of an overwhelming majority of our people, we will have proved democracy such a failure at home that there will be little use fighting for it abroad, because then we'd be under the War Powers Act, the National Emergency Act, yada, yada, yada. That means no constitution but a dictatorship. And that's what these people were trying to avoid, the United States from becoming a dictatorship. Well, it happened anyway. All right, let's get back into this. All right. The time has come when those of us who believe in an independent American destiny must band together and organize for strength. We have been led toward war by a minority of our people. This minority has power, it has influence, it has a loud voice, but it does not represent the American people. Well, guess who it is? Again, Rothschilds, the Zionists, Rockefellers, Warburgs, Henry Morgan. That fat little creep is on the cover of every monopoly game there is. He's the one that put Tesla out of business, burned his lab in Princeton, and is alleged to have been involved in his death in New York when they killed him and then threw him out the window of a New York hotel. All right. During the last several years, I have traveled over this country from one end to the other. I have talked to many hundreds of men and women, and I have had letters from tens of thousands more who feel the same way as you and I. Most of these people have no influence or power. Most of them have no means of expressing their convictions, except by their vote, which has always been against the war. Well, we know now the voting machines are rigged. They can be hacked for any damn result they want, and if nothing else, like what Bush did in his first election, his brother stopped counting the ballots. His second term in the White House was because the Supreme Court placed him there. So forget about your vote. Don't count. You're not part of an electoral college. All right. They are the citizens who have had to work too hard at their daily jobs to organize political meetings. Hitherto, they have relied upon their vote to express their feelings, but now they find that it is hardly remembered except in the oratory of a political campaign. These people, the majority of hard-working American citizens, are with us. They are the true strength of our country. Remember that, people. You, the people, are the true strength of this country. And they are beginning to realize, as you and I, that there are